Welcome to the Stockboy Gaming channel where I could barely talk, but I'm tired of waiting. So we're going to do the 10F and the D10. This is going to be a fun one, a couple mid-engine sports cars. If you've been paying attention to the channel, you saw Donner had a minor accident last time around. But great news for everyone, don't worry about him, he's doing okay. Just got out of surgery, had some facial reconstructive stuff done. He wanted to take some time off, but thanks to an ironclad contract, he's going to be back helping me build cars in no time. I'm also going to be showing you a new test here today on a new track that I built, so give me some feedback. I'd love to see what you think there. We're going to be testing street handling with that test in addition to everything you see on your screen here. One thing people have been saying about this 10F is that it has a 10-cylinder engine, but based on counting and math skills, that looks like a V12 to me, my friends. So we've got a V12 rear-wheel drive Audi R8. We're going to be putting it to the test against a Corvette Z06 is what I'm going to call it. I always love coming back to La Puerta Dragway. We're going to the half mile today. We're going to stop at the 1/8 and quarter mile along the way. We've got the new Obey 10F on the left, Corvette D10 on the right. We're going to see how these bad boys accelerate down the drag strip here. You're going to see right away, even though it has rear wheel drive, there's a definite advantage for that 10F on the way to the 1/8 mile and quarter mile lines. That thing can absolutely move. So the D10's having a little bit of trouble keeping up here at the drag strip, it looks like. Is it going to be able to claw its way back to the half mile? Not really. That 10F is off to the races. You can see very fast, 10-second quarter mile, really solid times over the Corvette D10. But as you can see at the top, and it's something I'll show you throughout this video, it can't quite keep up with the Itali RSX here on the drag strip. That's just one test of many, and this is an awesome video that's going to show you why I love my speed score. We've got top speed now at my custom speedway. This Corvette D10, I haven't had it in a video before, but it actually performs really well here. So this is going to be a really big test for this 10F. When it comes to the 10F, I really love what Rockstar did with this. There's no way they would have known at the time, but Audi just announced recently an R8 GT, which is going to be a V10 rear-wheel drive car. That's pretty awesome considering what we have here. Even though this car tore up the drag strip, that advantage was mainly in initial acceleration. We have a victory for the Corvette D10, and even though these cars can't quite keep up with the Itali RSX, we got a battle going on between these other two sports cars. And that means we're heading to my test track. This is a custom track, super technical, on a stunt surface. Like I said, stay tuned, we're going to show you a battle on a street surface as well. So, all you guys who said,
well, these cars would perform differently on a street surface,
we're going to put that theory to the test. Coming out of that first hairpin, we know we've got an advantage for acceleration with this 10F, and you can see at that first gantry, it definitely has an advantage. But now, we're going through here a couple of technical sections. So, these double right-handers, look at how many times I have to lift in the 10F compared to the D10. That D10 is catching up, it looks like. But now we got a little bit of an area for that 10F to accelerate. A long, sweeping right-hander here, and the theme for the 10F is understeer. It understeers where the D10 does not. So you can see the D10 maybe closing the gap a little bit through this chicane. It's definitely going to close the gap. They both trying to get to the bottom, trying to hug pretty tight, but they both end up pretty wide out there. Now look at this though, we've got a drag race, and the thing is, that D10 was going so fast through that last corner that it just rips onto the straightaway, and that 10F is barely going to hang on to its lead. So as we can see here, only 0.2 of a second separating those two cars at my test track. That is not much at all. None of them are even close to the RSX here, but very, very good balance between the 10F and the Corvette D10. And as we'll see here with the speed score, the D10's coming out on top. Some of you guys might not like that, but we're going to test it out, like I said. And it just flew into the top there, but you can see the Itali RSX has a big advantage over both of these cars. Don't put too much into that. That car should be in the Supers class. Rockstar's classes are all jacked up. Both of these cars are pretty fast. They're both great cars. But now I'm going to head off to show you my new test. And let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to do street handling on a very technical mountain street circuit. It's really short, so these won't last too long. Heading up here, this is our first little stretch, and it's not even really a stretch. You can get some understeer, you can get some oversteer. What I'm doing there, I'm going real easy on the throttle to make sure that back end doesn't slide out. But this car is extremely nimble. The Corvette D10 can be a challenge. You see, we lose a little bit of traction going through some of these corners. The back end likes to slide out, but if you're easy on your throttle, it can be pretty quick. And we're already heading into the last hairpin. This thing's going to start ripping down the final stretch through the tunnel, going all the way down to the start-finish line there. We've got a 35.69. Can the 10F match it? Up the hill we go from a standing start. We know this 10F has an advantage here, so I'm expecting it to get off to a quick start, but once we start to get to these tight corners, that understeer starts to come into play. Every time the car backfires, that's me lifting off the throttle. So it slows it a little bit through the corners, but now as we go downhill, we have a little bit of oversteer. So here's how I can explain the car the best. It understeers through corners, but it has lift-off oversteer. So you've got to constantly balance between lifting off and not letting the car slide too much. You can get through the corners quick, but it's tricky. It's very tricky to drive quickly. So now here we go with some results. Which one do you think is going to be fastest? It's the D10, which also won out in the speed score, just barely. That extra rotation helps it a ton. The 10F is extremely tricky, and this D10 can have some really good rotation once you get comfortable controlling your throttle. Doesn't have all the power in the world, but it's got a good top speed, and that rotation is awesome for driving and cornering. It's a lot of fun, and it's really underrated in my opinion. The 10F, what do I think of it? Well, the handling is really tricky. It's really tough to get it down. To get that balance between oversteer, understeer, you're always trying to tease out the understeer with oversteer. If that sounds like fun to you, this is a great car. If not, maybe skip out on this one. Thanks so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, and you're still here, and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. I'd love to see more of you around here. Let me know what you think in the comments too. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.